Hey guys, welcome back to Anime Gossips. This is my recap for the anime studio apartment, good lighting, angel included. The story begins with an angel who was advised to learn more about humans. Upon arriving on Earth, she realized the beauty that humanity has been enjoying, which made her feel happy. Then we see a loser boy named Shintaro, a young high school student going home late in the day. His day was really hectic. On his way home, a kitten came to give him some affection. Shintaro remembers he had picked up a kitten in front of their house when he was a kid, but eventually, a cat-loving neighbor took the kitten in and looked after it. Shintaro started living alone during his high school days, though he is getting used to it. Shintaro couldn't control his tiredness, so he fell onto the bed and dozed off that night. While he was sleeping, a white feather dropped into his apartment. The next morning, Shintaro wakes up by the alarm on his cell phone, finds himself some milk, then notices the window wide open. He moves closer and finds a girl lying on the floor. Shocked, he accidentally spills the milk from his hand onto the ground and onto the girl as well. He assists her and offers her a towel to dry herself while he is busy thinking. Shintaro offers the girl a cloth to cover herself. He is nervous and acts strangely. The girl introduces herself as Towa and they exchange names. Towa expresses her gratitude by complimenting Shintaro for his pure-hearted behavior. From there, Shintaro begins to have thoughts and feelings about Towa, admiring her beauty. They engage in extensive conversation about families, homes, and other topics. Shintaro asks Towa the reason for sleeping on his balcony, but all Towa can say is that she wants to express her gratitude to him. She tells Shintaro that he should request anything from her, but Shintaro has nothing to ask for. She feels sad to hear that, and with no other option, decides to cook despite having no ingredients. Then she decides to clean up Shintaro's messy apartment. After some time of fun together, Shintaro advises her to go back home, thinking that Towa ran away from home. He asks for the location of Towa's home, and she weirdly answers heaven. With a full explanation, Shintaro realizes he has been talking with a loco, a dangerous kind of runaway. Towa says she was sent to Earth on God's orders to study humans on behalf of all angel kind. Shintaro is confused, and in addition, Towa requests that she wants to stay there for a while. Suddenly, Shintaro's alarm rings, indicating work in 30 minutes. He realizes he has to go to work. They both head out. Shintaro tells her to go home and stop being a runaway. He still doesn't completely believe that Towa is an angel. At work, Shintaro doesn't enjoy himself. He has to leave work earlier. He pleads with his boss and heads towards his home. Suddenly, he thinks about the girl, wondering if she actually went home or not. While he is thinking about her, he sees Towa with a man who intends to take her to a hotel. After hearing this, Shintaro grabs her hand and leaves the scene. On their way, Shintaro tries to explain to Towa about her hangout with the man, but he passes out. After some time, Shintaro wakes up in his home. Actually, Towa took him home, stayed by his side, and took care of him. Towa offered him some porridge, which she made with some leftover bread and milk. Towa went further to feed him. To Shintaro, it's been ages since someone cooked for him. Shintaro gets better after the meal. He tells Towa not to follow strangers, knowing how dangerous people outside can be. Towa was sad because she has nowhere to go. Shintaro then allows her to stay with him in his apartment, and after hearing this, she was excited. While she was filled with joy, Shintaro was concerned to know how Towa carried him there, as he must be heavy. Towa says there's no trouble as she just flew there. Shintaro doesn't understand what she means. Towa then shows her wings, saying she is an angel. The next morning, Shintaro wakes up thinking all that happened was a dream. Then he is shocked to see Towa sleeping next to him like a cute little girl. Towa also wakes up and says good morning to him, but he asks her why she is on his bed. She then replies to him that there's only one bed. Then they both go shopping to get themselves breakfast. Unknowingly, Towa was excited due to a free plate for collecting enough stickers from the springy steamed bun, which made her wings come out in the convenience store. Shintaro instantly yells at her to hide them. Back at home, Towa apologizes. She reveals that she lets them show when she gets excited. She says she learned all about the mortal realm from the Good Kid's Guide to Life on Earth book. Curiously, Shintaro asked about the duty of an angel, to which Towa explains that it involves conveying God's will to the people, and their primary job is to ensure souls don't lose their way between heaven and earth. Most importantly, she mentioned that they are destined to bring happiness to humans. Shintaro asked her about what is included in the happiness of humans. Surprisingly, Towa herself does not know, and says that it is part of the reason she was sent to Earth by God. Towa enjoyed the steamed bun she bought from the convenience store. She told Shintaro that she would love to keep having the bun every day. Suddenly, Shintaro worries that he can't buy 2 of every meal at the convenience store, because the allowance he receives from his parents can't provide for both of them. As for him, he wants them to shop for food ingredients and day-to-day supplies, which she will be needing since she doesn't come with anything. Shintaro took Towa to a shopping mall where she thinks of it as a palace. Shintaro instructed her to stick close to him, but her unsettledness makes her try everything she finds adorable. She finds a cute mug with the print of a cat, almost similar to the cats she separated on Shintaro's balcony when both cats were fighting with each other. Shintaro thinks if she's willing to get the mug, but she lost interest in the mug since there are some other mugs at Shintaro's home. This made Shintaro think she doesn't want it. Suddenly, a little girl sees Towa and tells her mom that there's a princess. Everyone there starts discussing that her dress really looks like that of a princess from a wealthy family. Shintaro immediately goes to get her some clothes. He sees the price tag and thinks that he has been saving up his allowance and extras for some period of time, so he can afford it. Towa asks him if she is making him spend too much. He says there is no problem and tells her to get some casual wear and some pajamas. She asks him what kind of outfit he prefers, but Shintaro says his preference doesn't matter. They are her clothes. Just pick stuff she'd like to wear and that would make him happy. Suddenly, an attendant in the mall comes to them and asks them to check out the new seasonal collection. Towa was able to find herself some good casual and beautiful outfits and is so happy about it. Towa went to the changing room, and the attendant tells him his girlfriend is very pretty. He embarrassingly says she is not his girlfriend. In the changing room, Towa is worried about the generosity and kind heart Shintaro showed towards a total stranger like her, and thinks about what she can do for him in return. She goes ahead to vow to him in public to bring him happiness in his life, making it look like a proposal. On their way back home, Towa asks Shintaro how she looks in the new outfit, to which he says she is looking great, and embarrassingly thinks that she is looking gorgeous. Towa is so happy to hear that. Shintaro advises they get some food and then head home. Back at home, Shintaro gets tired and wonders why the foods are so heavy. Towa just picks up the foods to put the perishables in the fridge. Shintaro says she must be tired as she walked so much, and it was so crowded. However, she says she had lots of fun because he is there with her. While she was offloading the ingredients, she discovered that Shintaro eventually got her the mug she was staring at. She was so happy to see it. Meanwhile, Shintaro thinks that he also had a great time with her. At night, they are sharing the same bed again, and Shintaro embarrassingly tells himself to buy another bed already. We see that when Towa comes to Earth, the lights and beauty of the city amaze her. She sees a train and remembers that she was told about it. She flies close to the train and sees people inside it. One passenger is shocked to see her flying. Towa is amazed by how fast the train is going, and it makes her realize how amazing Earth is. Sitting on top of a building, Towa starts thinking that she has come down to a bright place, but she needs to figure out how she will make contact with humans. She then remembers the book called Good Kid's Guide to Life on Earth, which explains 2 ways to make contact with humans after an angel comes down to Earth. First, she needs to be higher than them, shine really brightly, and introduce herself in an impressive way. She can also spread her wings to show them off proudly. Second, she has to hide her wings and blend in with humans. She can pick one of 2 usual ways to do this. She starts thinking which one would be the better choice for her, if she should have a friendly relationship with humans, or if she should get to know them first. But she realizes that people walking on the road seem very busy. Towa looks tired, so she flies away to find a quiet place to rest. While flying, she is too sleepy and can't find the way back home. Then Towa sees a big mansion and finds a room with an open window. She thinks nobody is using it, so she decides to stay there for one night without bothering anyone. Towa wonders where she's supposed to go as she has no place on Earth to live. But then she decides she'll try again tomorrow morning and gets a feeling she'll meet someone amazing tomorrow. Back to the present, Towa explains to Shintaro how she ended up sleeping on his balcony. Shintaro is relieved because he thought something bad might have happened to her. Towa replies it's good because the room belongs to him. After the shopping trip, they have dinner together. Towa makes dinner for Shintaro, and he thinks he's being spoiled rotten, eating convenience store foods. Towa asks if she should feed him, but Shintaro refuses embarrassingly. They start eating, where Shintaro finds the food delicious, especially the potato dish. Towa seems happy as Shintaro likes the food. Shintaro is surprised that Towa can cook so many dishes. Towa says she learned them from the book called Good Kid's Guide to Life on Earth. Shintaro is amazed after eating the delicious food. As he enjoys the tasty food, he realizes he was used to eating convenience store food and bread every day. But this homemade meal was much better. He then remembers the moment when Towa tells him that she wanted to bring happiness into his life. Shintaro finds Towa to be cute, a great cook, and a wonderful angel. He wonders if it's really okay for him to have such a good life. Towa noticed that Shintaro wasn't eating his food, so she asked him if he didn't like the food. But Shintaro says it's not like that, and explained that he was thinking about how he could do anything for her. Towa appreciated his kindness and told him that he has already done too much by letting her stay in his room. However, she mentioned that there is something she wanted to ask him about after dinner. After dinner, Shintaro explains to Towa how to use the bath. He tells her to close the curtain first to avoid getting the wash basin and other things wet, and to make sure the curtain is inside the tub. After that, she needs to turn the dial on to get hot water. Shintaro says that if she wants to take a bath, she should use the rubber to fill up the tub. Towa thanks him for explaining everything. Towa begins taking a bath inside while Shintaro, who is outside, starts feeling uncomfortable because there's a girl bathing in his home, and it's making him feel strange. Shintaro decides to watch TV or do something else to avoid thinking about this. However, even with the TV on, he can't stop imagining Towa bathing. Shintaro gets frustrated and starts hitting himself on the face. He feels anxious and can't handle the situation of having a girl staying over, bathing, and sleeping in his place. He decides to turn off the TV and tells himself he should focus on studying because he has an English quiz the next day. While Shintaro is studying, he suddenly feels that he needs to use the toilet. So, he goes to the bathroom and opens the door without realizing that Towa is inside. They both scream in surprise. Shintaro quickly apologizes and explains that he didn't mean to do that. He just needed to use the toilet and forgot that she was taking a bath. Towa forgives him and suggests he could still use the toilet while she closes the curtain and waits. Shintaro realizes he doesn't have a humiliation fetish, and says the surprise of seeing Towa took away his urge to use the toilet. After some time, Shintaro is taking a bath and thinks that since he lives alone, he doesn't have to worry about anyone being on the other side of the door. But now he needs to be careful. Suddenly, Towa comes into the bathroom with a towel in her hand and asks Shintaro if she should wash his back. Shintaro gets embarrassed and says he doesn't need that. At night, Shintaro and Towa are sleeping on the same bed. But Shintaro feels worried because they only have one bed, and they're too close in the apartment. Towa falls asleep, but Shintaro can't sleep thinking about this. He tells himself to get an extra bed tomorrow. In the next morning, Shintaro wakes up with dark circles under his eyes. He thinks to use the bathroom quickly and then go back to sleep. But when he opened the bathroom door, he found Towa inside, and they both screamed with surprise. Shintaro immediately closed the door, realizing he had forgotten Towa was in there. However, Towa insisted that she should be the one apologizing for not telling him she was using the bathroom. Shintaro disagrees, saying there is nothing wrong with that, and he is the one at fault. He once again apologizes to her. While brushing his teeth, Shintaro thinks he doesn't want to accidentally walk into the bathroom again. He thinks this might keep happening because they take turns bathing and changing. Shintaro thinks to make some rules to avoid these situations. He thinks about leaving the bathroom door open while not using it. This way, if the door is closed, they would know that someone is using it. Suddenly, Towa came in, wanting to brush her teeth. But Shintaro was already using the toilet, and they both screamed when they saw each other. Towa apologized, but Shintaro felt like he was the one who should apologize. He just wanted to disappear out of embarrassment. Sitting in front of the food table, Shintaro is thinking about how this is the third day of his life with an angel. Towa asked him to eat some food. As he started eating, he found the food to be incredibly delicious. After finishing his meal, he thanked Towa and said it was really great. Shintaro sees it's 8 a.m. on TV, and he realizes he has to go to school. Towa asks him if he is a student. Shintaro replies that didn't he already tell her that he was a first-year high school student. Towa says she will clean up and get ready to leave immediately too. Shintaro tells her she doesn't have to come to school with him because people might be surprised. But Towa insists that she can't bring him happiness if she isn't with him. She wants to go with him as well, but Shintaro refuses. Towa suggests he could skip school for the day. Shintaro says he'd love to, but as a student, he has to study, as it's his duty. Towa understands and says she won't interfere with his duty, and she'll stay at home. Shintaro says he'll leave some money just in case. and appreciates it if she would stay at home. He'll be back by evening and tells her to relax and watch TV. Towa agrees and tells Shintaro to take care. Shintaro says okay and leaves. While going to school, Shintaro felt sorry for Towa, but he can't bring her with him. Apart from that, he was very sleepy and felt sick because he had eaten too much. Suddenly, his friend Shuichi greeted him excitedly by slapping him on the back. Shintaro warned him that he can vomit because of it. Then, Tsutsumi comes and asks Shuichi what he was doing. Shuichi said it was his way of saying good morning. Tsutsumi asked Shintaro if he is alright. Shintaro greets her and says he's alright. However, Tsutsumi noticed that Shintaro looked very unwell. She looks at Shuichi, but he jokingly asked her if it was his fault, and agreed that Shintaro is looking very pale. He then asked Shintaro if he was possessed by a ghost or something. Shintaro explains that he's feeling tired because he hasn't gotten enough sleep. Shuichi asks if he's busy with weekend work, and Shintaro says yes. Tsutsumi suggests Shintaro skip school for the day. However, Shintaro tells her thanks, but he'll be fine. Tsutsumi is worried about Shintaro as he lives alone. Shuichi asks Tsutsumi why she is being so nice to Shintaro. Tsutsumi explains that it's just what friends do. Shuichi suggests that Tsutsumi should be even nicer to him as he is going to school on time. Shintaro says they've known each other forever, and it's like they're a funny married couple. But Tsutsumi didn't like it, and tells Shintaro not to say it again because she doesn't want to hear it. Then Shuichi tells Tsutsumi that her reaction was too much and it hurt, and Shintaro starts laughing. Back in the apartment, Towa was doing cleaning and laundry. She sits on her bed, thinking about Shintaro. She feels happy remembering he enjoyed the food she made. She wishes he'd come back soon. Then she realizes it's lunchtime and wonders what Shintaro will eat. Since he said he'd be back by evening, she starts thinking he might be hungry and unhappy. Meanwhile at school, Shuichi shouted that it's lunchtime. Tsutsumi asks Shintaro if he only brought vegetables and juice for lunch. Shintaro agrees, saying he'll get some bread if he feels hungry. Tsutsumi asks if he ever cooks by himself, worrying if he's getting the right diet. Shintaro assures her that he manages somehow. Tsutsumi says that just eating bread wouldn't give him enough nutrition. Shuichi jokes about eating tons of bread for nutrition, but Tsutsumi tells him it doesn't work that way. Shintaro didn't want to tell them about Towa cooking for him, so he mentioned that he is getting staff meals occasionally. Tsutsumi said she has been thinking of making lunch for him too. Shintaro is amazed as she made her lunch herself. She expressed that she is just worried about his diet as a friend. Shuichi asks her to make lunch for him too, but she refused, saying it'd be too much work. Shuichi argued it wouldn't be a big deal, but Tsutsumi said making 3 lunches would be more work. Suddenly, Shintaro notices Towa behind the window. He panics and tries to hide her from his friends. Tsutsumi asks him what was wrong, but he replies, it's nothing. Then, he secretly tells Towa to go to the roof, and he would meet her there. Towa agrees, and Shintaro rushes off, saying he has some work to do. Shuichi asks if Shintaro has plans to meet with girls, which makes Tsutsumi angry. Meanwhile, some students who were nearby saw Towa flying, and one of them thought it was just stress making him see such things, because he stayed up studying all night. Shintaro runs up the stairs to the roof as fast as he can. He tells Towa that he has told her not to come to school, and her wings were totally visible. He becomes worried about what would happen if people found out angels exist. This would be all over the news. Towa apologizes, thinking she has caused trouble for him. She says she was worried if he might get hungry and brought him lunch. Towa says she should leave now, but Shintaro stops her and apologizes for shouting at her when she brought him lunch. He suggests they should eat together. As they start eating, Shintaro compliments Towa's cooking, saying it always tastes good. Towa thanks him for praising her cooking skills. Shintaro looks at the food and recognizes it as the dish he loved last night. He asks Towa if she made it for him again. Towa said she remembered because his words made her happy, and she wants to learn more about what he likes. Shintaro is happy to hear that. Towa says she'll cook lots of food for him, but Shintaro said not too much. Then he considers himself really lucky to have Towa by his side. In the classroom, the teacher asked if anyone could help him carry the materials for the next period. Tsutsumi agrees to help. While carrying things, she thought about where Shintaro might be. She has offered to make lunch for him, but didn't get a response. Tsutsumi remembered when she was a kid. She got lost in another town, and then Shintaro helped her. He was her first crush, but she hasn't seen him in 9 years and has even forgotten his name. However, on result day, students check their grades. Shuichi excitedly says he got accepted. Tsutsumi thinks that she has to go to school with Shuichi for 3 more years. Shuichi asks another boy if he passed and suggests they become friends. The boy's name card falls down. Tsutsumi wonders what's wrong with Shuichi. While picking up the paper, she finds Shintaro's name on it. Feeling like fate has brought them back together. Back in the present, Tsutsumi admits she hasn't brought up what happened 9 years ago because she's afraid of being called a stalker. Suddenly, she's surprised to see Shintaro with Towa and gets shocked. Meanwhile, Shintaro tells Towa to go straight home and not talk to any strangers. Towa asks him to come home soon. Tsutsumi realizes Shintaro was really meeting up with a girl. Then, she's totally shocked when Towa takes out her wings and flies away. Shintaro comes back from school in the evening, and Towa welcomes him. Shintaro apologizes to her for what happened at school and thanks her for bringing lunch. But Towa says it isn't a big deal, and she apologizes for flying so much. Shintaro agrees, as that is shocking. He notices the laundry is already done and asks if she did it. Towa agrees, but Shintaro wonders how, since he hasn't shown her how to use the washing machine. Towa explains she learned it from the book called The Good Kid's Guide to Life on Earth. Shintaro is amazed to see that the book covers laundry too. Then, he is shocked to find out Towa has washed his underwear. He realizes that until then only his family has washed his underwear, and he hadn't expected Towa to do it. Shintaro thanks Towa for washing his underwear, but he's trying hard not to blush because it would feel awkward. He sees how neatly the underwear is folded, but notices a bear on it. Towa says that she noticed a hole in his underwear and sewed a cute bear on it. Shintaro realizes Towa does a lot for him already and decides to wash his own underwear from now on. Towa asks if he doesn't like the bear and suggests stitching a bunny instead, but Shintaro says that he'll just handle everything related to his underwear. Since then, Shintaro makes sure to wash his underwear every day. Meanwhile, Tsutsumi is taking a bath and starts thinking about the girl she saw standing with Shintaro, who seemed to be flying. She really wants to ask Shintaro about her, but she can't bring herself to do it directly. Tsutsumi thinks she might be imagining things because people can't really fly. Maybe seeing Shintaro with the girl made her feel shocked. She also never got confirmation if she could make lunch for him. Tsutsumi's mom notices that she has been talking to herself for a while in the bath and asks if she is okay. Tsutsumi says she is fine and decides to ask Shintaro about the girl and if she could make lunch for him tomorrow. The next day at Shintaro's apartment, while Shintaro leaves for school, Towa stops him and asks if he doesn't want lunch. He says he'd love to, but he's worried about explaining it at school. Towa wonders if he started hating her because he slept on the floor instead of the bed last night. Shintaro says they can't keep sharing the same bed. Towa tearfully says she doesn't want him to come to school either. Shintaro immediately agrees to take the lunch. She asks him to come home soon for dinner. Shintaro apologizes, saying he has work and won't be back until after 9. Towa suggests going with him, but Shintaro denies. He expresses to her that he feels lucky to have her making lunch and dinner for him at home. Towa becomes happy to see him smile, and Shintaro leaves. While he is on his way to school, he feels kinda bad for avoiding talking to Towa. Towa waves to him from the balcony. Seeing her, Shintaro feels lucky to have her. At school, Shuichi invites Shintaro to have lunch together. When Shuichi and Tsutsumi find out that Shintaro already has lunch in his hand, they are surprised. Shintaro makes up a story and says he saved an old lady on the street, and the old lady rewarded him with the lunchbox. When he opens his lunchbox, he finds a heart-shaped omelet. He starts eating quickly to make sure that Tsutsumi and Shuichi wouldn't notice. Tsutsumi thinks a girl must have made it for him. Since his mom is out of town, Shuichi asks Tsutsumi if he can eat the omelet if she doesn't want it, but she gets really angry. While walking on the road, Shintaro feels really tired. He wonders why he always makes up weak excuses, and gets worried about what excuse he'll use tomorrow. He starts to feel like a weak loser. He thinks it is fine until anyone finds out Towa is an angel, but he realizes that the main problem is he doesn't want anyone to know that he lives with a girl. Suddenly, a fortune teller approaches Shintaro and tells him that he's got a cloud of girl trouble hanging over his head. Shintaro is surprised and asks what she means. She explains she's just a friendly neighborhood fortune teller and warns him that he has entered a phase of intense girl trouble. Shintaro asks what he's supposed to do about it. She says it can be fixed with some powerful charms and offers to sell him 3 charms for 30,000 yen, but Shintaro declines and runs away, thinking it's a scam. While running, he wonders if she may be right about the girl trouble. However, he realizes Towa isn't a problem for him at all. Shintaro arrives at work, where his boss asks him how he is feeling now. He says he is good now, and apologizes for leaving early on Saturday. His boss tells him not to worry about it as he is happy to see him feeling better. Shintaro confirms that he is fine now and goes into the changing room. Then his boss informs him that the girl who started working 2 weeks ago would work with him on shifts, and reminds Shintaro to behave well toward her, to which Shintaro agrees. Shintaro gets curious about her and decides to say hi later. When he opens the changing room door, he finds a girl changing. The girl gets mad and slaps him. Shintaro's coworker notices the slap mark on Shintaro's face and asks him what happened, but Shintaro doesn't say anything. Then the girl comes and gives Shintaro a cold cloth. Shintaro wonders if she meant for him to use it on his face. He apologizes, saying he didn't know anyone was in there. She replies it is okay as it's her fault for not locking the door. Shintaro introduces himself and says, "Nice to meet you." She introduces herself as Izumi Noeil. Shintaro finds the name unusual. He jokes and asks if she was born on Christmas. She responds that she was indeed born on Christmas and asks if that's a problem. Then Noeil says she doesn't get bothered by what he said and asks him to forget about what happened. She says never to speak of it again and leaves. Shintaro notices she doesn't let him say anything, but he finds it good because he's worried she might complain about him. He feels relieved, thinking he can relax now. While serving, Shintaro still thinks about her wearing the dress he saw her in the changing room and tells himself to stop thinking about it since she said it doesn't bother her. He worries that Towa might call him mean and starts feeling bad for Towa. He remembers that he forgot about how he'll make excuses about Towa's lunches at school. Suddenly, their boss tells Shintaro and Noeil that they can go home now and mentions there are new trial desserts in the break room fridge, which they can try and let him know what they think about later. They both thank him. Noeil tells Shintaro that she can leave if he doesn't want to eat with her, but Shintaro refuses. She praises Shintaro, saying he does his job perfectly. Shintaro thanks her for the compliment. Then, she finds the parfaits in the fridge, and upon seeing them, Shintaro says the cherry parfaits look delicious. Shintaro saw Noeil getting embarrassed by hearing the word cherry and asked if something is bothering her. She refuses and tells him to forget about it. Shintaro agrees and says he doesn't remember anything either, but he realizes it's not okay for a girl if she is being seen changing. He feels bad for being so insensitive. He informs her that the room is too cold and asks where the remote is. He sees her standing still and asks if she's okay because she's shaking. Shintaro tries to touch her, but she asks him not to touch her and tells him that she's a Yuki-ana, a kind of snow spirit. Outside, a kid complains that the ice cream is too hard, and someone else asks to turn up the temperature. Inside, Shintaro thinks angels are real, so Yuki-ana would be real as well. Noeil realizes something and says she's just joking and reminds him that the cooling system is broken. Shintaro notices that the more panicked Noeil gets, the stronger the snowstorm gets. Realizing it, he asks her to calm down and says he's alright with supernatural things. Another waitress wonders what's wrong with the cooling system, but their boss says he doesn't find any issues. Shintaro thinks they should leave the cafe, and then they leave from there. After reaching a distance, Shintaro asks if they're safe now, and Noeil thinks they probably are. He finds that Noeil is holding parfaits, and she says she wasn't thinking clearly and just grabbed them, and they start laughing together. Meanwhile, at the apartment, Towa is playing games and having fun. She finds human world games to be super fun, but when she watches the clock, she thinks that Shintaro is late, as he said he would be back after 9. Elsewhere, Tsutsumi is trying to study, but she is getting distracted. She decides to take a break and goes to the convenience store to get some ice cream. Her mom reminds her to be careful. Meanwhile, Shintaro and Noeil eat the parfait and find it tasty. Shintaro then realizes they go to the same school, which is surprising to him. Noeil asks if he truly believed her story about being a Yuki-ana, and Shintaro agrees, saying it's just because she told him so. In his thoughts, Shintaro admits he has already seen angels and thought there might be devils too, but he wasn't expecting a Yuki-ana. Noeil is worried and asks Shintaro to keep what she's about to say a secret. She reveals that her family has a long history of having Yuki-ana, a type of mythical snow woman, in their family. She's not sure if this is genetic and says that both her mother and grandmother were Yuki-ana. Noeil tells him that when they feel strong emotions like anger, sadness, or embarrassment, they create snowstorms. Noeil says that she struggles to control her emotions and ends up causing blizzards unintentionally, while her sister and the rest of her family can manage. She finds it hard to control herself and ends up pushing people away, trying not to make friends. Noeil says she was always alone and starts skipping school, but when she entered high school, she realized that she needed to change. She tells Shintaro that when she's at home, all she does is read manga or watch anime. Then she started working as a waitress to start talking with people. But it all gets messed up because he saw her changing. Shintaro tells her to stay calm because it's his fault for walking into the changing room. But Noeil denies it, saying it's her fault for letting it bother her. She gets emotional and wonders why she always does that. Shintaro comforts her and says she is doing well as she greets customers with a smile, and tells her that even if people want to change, most of them don't actually do anything about it. Shintaro says he finds her amazing and she is not a lost cause. Shintaro sees Noeil crying. He says sorry if he said something insensitive again. Noeil reassures him that it's not his fault. She explains that it's the first time she's talked to anyone outside her family about being a Yuki-onna, and says that his comforting words mean a lot to her. Noeil thanks him, and then asks if they can be friends, because she's never really had any friends before, and worries she might not be good at it. Shintaro agrees to be her friend. Noeil then asks if he's sure because she's a Yuki-onna. Shintaro assures her it's not a problem and they're friends now. Noeil then asks him to call her by her name, and if she can call him by his name, to which Shintaro agrees. Noeil becomes happy as she finally found a friend. Shintaro asks her if Yuki-onna would melt and disappear if they were seen by others. Noeil smiles and refuses, saying she will not disappear. Suddenly, they see a white feather and see Towa flying above them. Towa is happy to see Shintaro and says it's good as she found him. Shintaro responds that there is nothing good about this. Suddenly, Tsutsumi comes there and gets shocked to see Towa flying. Now, after all things messed up, Shintaro thinks that apart from living alone, he was just a regular 16-year-old until last weekend. But everything changed last weekend. Now, there's nothing that seems normal to him anymore. Shintaro wonders why it's happening to him. Then Towa, Noeil, and Tsutsumi start asking him lots of things. Tsutsumi mentions seeing Towa flying at school, but thought she was imagining it. Towa tells Shintaro he was late coming home, so she got worried, and she thinks to fly because it's nighttime. Also, Towa asks if Shintaro is okay with peppers and the omelet rice for dinner. Tsutsumi keeps asking if Towa's wings are real. Shintaro gets frustrated and says stop. He can't handle all this at once. Then he asks Tsutsumi why she's there. Tsutsumi says she's just passing by, but she feels awkward because she's in sweats and didn't expect to meet Shintaro like this. After this, Shintaro tries to act like everything's normal and suggests they all pretend they didn't see anything and just go home. But Tsutsumi disagrees. Shintaro realizes they won't forget what they saw and starts thinking about what to do, because he can't just talk his way out of it. He wonders how to explain it because he knows they won't believe that Towa is an angel. Meanwhile, Noeil thinks Towa is really cute and nice, and Shintaro notices that Noeil is very open-minded. Then he remembers that Noeil is a Yuki-onna. Tsutsumi asks Towa if she's really an angel, and Towa confirms it, saying she's an angel who came to Earth to learn about humans. Noeil finds this fascinating and compliments Towa's energetic nature, as this is something she didn't expect from angels. Tsutsumi then confirms with Shintaro if Towa randomly appeared at his place, and has been living with him ever since. Shintaro agrees and admits that he kept Towa's presence a secret to avoid chaos. Tsutsumi understands the situation and promises not to tell anyone since she doubts anyone would believe in this, except for those who have seen Towa flying. She asks Towa why she went to Shintaro's apartment. Towa replies that she ended up sleeping on his balcony for a night to rest. Tsutsumi then tells Shintaro that he's too kind. Shintaro agrees and says Towa has nowhere else to go. Tsutsumi thinks about loving Shintaro's kind nature, but it also bothers her. Then she asks Shintaro if the lunch was made by Towa, and he agrees. Tsutsumi thought that Shintaro has lied and said that it's from an old lady. She also wonders why Shintaro is surrounded by girls. Then Noeil wishes that she could live with an angel too. In the meantime, Tsutsumi asks Noeil what she is doing with Shintaro so late. Shintaro then asks Tsutsumi if she knows Noeil. She agrees and says that she has seen Noeil in the halls, and everyone calls her the Ice Queen because she never talks to anyone. While listening to this, Shintaro notices that Noeil is becoming nervous. And to make things light, he says they both work at the same cafe, and were just coming from there. Tsutsumi realizes it's a good time to ask Shintaro if she can make lunch for him. Then Noeil asks Shintaro if Tsutsumi and Towa are his friends, and Shintaro agrees. Noeil tells Shintaro to call her Noeil. Tsutsumi wonders why Shintaro calls Noeil and Towa by their first names. Then Towa apologizes to Shintaro for coming out there, and Shintaro reassures her it's okay, and apologizes for being late coming home. hearing Shintaro calling Towa and Noeil by their first names. Tsutsumi wonders why she's the only one not on a first-name basis with him. Shintaro is worried at first, but now things seem okay, so he wants to go home. But suddenly, Noeil stands up and says she's a Yuki-onna. Shintaro wonders why she said that. Then everyone is shocked to see her summon a snowstorm. Noeil explains that when she gets too emotional, she can create a snowstorm. She mentions how embarrassing it is when Shintaro accidentally saw her changing, which caused the snowstorm. Shintaro tells her to stop being misleading and asks Towa not to give him a certain look. Then he asks Noeil if she could stop making the blizzard for a moment. Tsutsumi is wondering if she truly is a Yuki-onna. Shintaro asks Noeil why she revealed that, as he thought being a Yuki-onna was supposed to be a secret. Noeil explains that since Towa revealed she's an angel and shared her secret with them, it wouldn't be fair for everyone to keep hers to herself. Noeil reminds Shintaro that he promised her that he wouldn't tell anyone about her secret. Since Towa and Tsutsumi are Shintaro's friends, they are also her friends, so she trusts them. Then Tsutsumi steps forward to say something, but Shintaro wonders if she's a supernatural being too. Tsutsumi reveals that she used to wet her bed until 5th grade and doesn't want to be the only one with a secret. Shintaro tells her they appreciate her thoughtfulness, but she doesn't have to share these things. Towa thanks Noeil and Tsutsumi for being kind, and Tsutsumi asks Towa to call her by her first name. Noeil asks Towa if she could change the size of her wings. Towa agrees and explains that her wings show her power to fly. Tsutsumi realizes that's why the wings grow over her clothes. Then Noeil asks if she could touch Towa's wings, and Towa agrees. Back at home, Shintaro feels really tired, and Towa tells him she'll make dinner right away. While she's cooking, Towa asks Shintaro if he's upset with her, because his friends found out that she's an angel after she flew in front of them without thinking. Shintaro says he is not mad at her, and asks her not to do risky things like that, because it makes him worry. Towa agrees and says that Noeil and Tsutsumi were both really great, and she thinks Shintaro's kindness attracted them to him. Shintaro gets embarrassed and says he's not sure about that. Shintaro sees some officers come to his apartment to catch a Yuki-onna and an angel, and they start searching the place if he might have vampires in Kappa 2. Then they find Towa and take her away, but then Towa wakes him up, and he realizes he is just dreaming. In the school hallway, he remembers what a terrible dream it was. Tsutsumi comes to greet Shintaro, but Shintaro notices that she has more dark circles under her eyes than he does. Shintaro asks if something's wrong, and Tsutsumi says it's nothing. While they walk, Tsutsumi thinks she's gotten used to the idea of angels and Yuki-onna, but when she realized that Shintaro is living with a girl, it kept her up all night, but she can't say that. She also notices that Shintaro seems close with Noeil. Then Tsutsumi thinks she doesn't match up to Towa and Noeil because they're so pretty. Then she asks Shintaro if he's dating Towa or Noeil. Shintaro gets shocked and says, "Of course not." He explains that he just got to know Noeil, and the same goes for Towa. Tsutsumi becomes happy hearing this. Suichi comes over and asks, "Who's Towa?" to hide the truth. Tsutsumi says Towa is a distant relative of Shintaro, and she's the one who makes his lunches, and she even made yesterday's lunch. Suichi tells Shintaro he's lucky and suggests he should ask Towa to make his lunches too. Tsutsumi quickly refuses, saying it's not going to happen. Shintaro thanks Tsutsumi for covering for him. He feels relieved to have someone to share his secret with. Tsutsumi feels happy that they have their own little secret together. After a while, Shintaro notices Noeil. He sees two boys asking her to go to karaoke, but when she notices Shintaro, she rushes over and says she's been waiting for him. Noeil tells him they're friends, and suggests they walk home together because that's what friends do. They will grab a snack together and chat while walking. Noeil further asks Shintaro how they should do the shared diary thing and offers to buy it for them. She thinks they should pick something they both like. Shintaro tells her he can't because he has to work today, and asks if she doesn't have a shift. Noeil confirms she does. Shintaro suggests they walk to work together, but Noeil declines, as it's her first time leaving school with a friend, and she wants it to be memorable. She suggests they save it for a day when neither of them has work, and Shintaro agrees. Seeing Noeil act strangely, Shintaro wonders if this is what she meant by being terrible at friending. In the apartment, Towa is wondering what job Shintaro has. While she's thinking about it, she sees a cat and asks the cat if it knows where Shintaro works. Meanwhile, at the cafe, Shintaro is asked to refill the glasses at the drink fountain. Then Noeil shows up and says hello to him. Shintaro is surprised because just yesterday she slapped him, but now she's being nice. Their boss sees them talking and asks Shintaro if they're dating. But Shintaro disagrees. His boss mentions that it's okay for staff to date, so he doesn't need to hide this if they are dating. But Shintaro insists they're not dating. Then the boss says that when he asked Noeil about her schedule for next month, she wanted to work on the same days as Shintaro. This surprises Shintaro, and he says they're just friends. Shintaro's colleague asks him if he and Noeil were really friends. She wants to be Noel's friend and asked about her hobbies, but Noeil told her not to talk to her. Noeil also warned her that if she got too close, something bad might happen to her. Shintaro wonders why Noeil acted like a lonely person around strangers. Then his boss apologized for the question and asked Shintaro if he can help on the floor, as they were probably going to be busy tonight. Shintaro agrees. When Shintaro went to take orders, he was surprised to see Towa and Tsutsumi together and asked why they were there. Towa explains that she asked a cat for his work address and followed it to his workplace, but lost it halfway, and luckily Tsutsumi happened to pass by. Then Tsutsumi tells him that she suddenly craved a parfait and didn't know Shintaro would be there, but in her mind, she was curious about his relationship with Noeil, so she intentionally found his workplace. Then Shintaro asks for their order, but then an alarm rang, indicating he had to reach there. Tsutsumi reassured him to go while she stayed with Towa. Shintaro thanked her and left. Seeing Shintaro in his work clothes, Tsutsumi thinks he is looking too good. But then an old lady needed help, and Towa offered to assist her. Tsutsumi told Towa to leave it to the staff because helping customers isn't Towa's job. Later, Tsutsumi noticed Noeil at work, and thinks that even though Noeil and Shintaro might work on the same shift, they may not get enough time to talk as they have much work. Then Noeil hurried to tell Shintaro that the angel was there, but Shintaro says he already knew. Seeing this, her boss calls her and praises her energy, but reminds her to stay focused at work. After that, Noeil's mood changed, and she told Shintaro she couldn't be his friend at work, because she wasn't good at working and being friends at the same time. Shintaro says he understood, but Noeil got mad and said they are strangers now. Shintaro wondered why Noeil always thinks in extremes. After drinking cola, Towa tells Tsutsumi that mixing melon soda with cola tastes really good. Then Towa asks what they should try next, but Tsutsumi says she feels too full already and suggests ordering food instead. Towa sees cheese inside the Hamburg steak on the menu and gets excited because she's heard of Hamburg steak but never with cheese, and says it must be delicious even though she has not tried it, to which Tsutsumi agrees. Then Towa mentions that it's her first time at a restaurant on Earth and she's learning a lot of things. Tsutsumi asks if she wants to order the Hamburg steak, but Towa declines, saying she had already prepared dinner at home. Tsutsumi thinks that she is a pretty girl and a great cook. Even though Shintaro said they weren't dating, it seems like they could be. Towa asks Tsutsumi what Shintaro's job is. Tsutsumi replies he works here as staff. Towa then asks if gig means job. Tsutsumi asks what she thought it meant. Towa explained that in the Good Kid's Guide to Life on Earth book, she read, gig meant side gig, but she didn't know what side gig meant. She also asks why Shintaro works here as he's a student. Tsutsumi explains that many students work part-time because their allowances aren't enough to cover their expenses. Then Tsutsumi asks Towa if she can go to the restroom because she drank too much. While Shintaro is serving food to customers, he gets worried about Towa and Tsutsumi, but he is amazed to see that Towa has started attending to customers. Shintaro quickly takes her away, and he asks her what she is doing. Towa replies that she thinks she can help him out to get his job done earlier, so that he can come home sooner. Shintaro tells her that he gets paid hourly, so he can't finish early, but Towa doesn't understand, so Shintaro says he will explain later. He tells her for now she doesn't need to work, as it won't change when he finishes. Towa asks Shintaro if he feels pressured to work more because she lives with him. She wonders if he feels he has to do extra jobs because of her. Shintaro replies that it's not because of her. He was already working before she moved in. He explains that his parents send him money, but he wanted to experience working while in high school. Towa points out that while Shintaro works, she doesn't do anything at home. Shintaro doesn't understand what she meant, and says his life has gotten much better since she arrived, as he used to eat mostly from convenience stores or have staff meals, but now he is enjoying a good meal, a clean home, and fresh clothes because of her. Towa wishes him luck at work and says she will have dinner ready when he gets back, and Shintaro thanks her. Shintaro's boss is surprised to see what seems like a love triangle, but Noeil then approached him to arrange her shifts for next month. noting the days Shintaro won't be working at that time. And the boss assumes Shintaro has already been dumped. And that's the end of the video. Please comment and let me know if you want a recap of the next episode of this anime. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, goodbye.